I went live and was asking all of the kids yoga teachers out there to send me some questions about the difficulties that you might be having with taking your kids' yoga business online or growing your children's yoga business. And so I've had some questions come in, and today I'm going to answer a question from Delphine. So I'll just read you the question so you know what I'm talking about. It says, "Hi Laura, I'm giving online kids yoga classes and I followed your recent webinar on birthday parties. Thank you for your email and great tips. A question I have is about the type of video camera you recommend to use for online classes. I currently give classes through Zoom using my laptop camera. The problem is that during the classes, sometimes I stand, sometimes I sit, and it means I have to go back and forth. This isn't practical at all. Would you have any tips or recommendations of maybe a webcam that I can use? I'm sure I'm not the first one having this issue." I am sure you are not the first one having this issue, Delphine. So thanks for that question. I think it is a great one because so many of you, kids yoga teachers, regular educators, taking your classes online, especially if you're just really not used to the technology, maybe you don't spend a lot of time on your phone or on your laptop, the whole, camera, microphone, Zoom, all these different platforms, you're having to learn as you go, but learn very quickly. So it's definitely a challenge that so many in our community are experiencing. Now, I have to say, I'm very honored that you would ask me that question for my recommendations on a camera that I use for my online workshops and trainings, because actually I just use my laptop and Zoom also. Honestly, I am really, for those of you that really know me, that have trained with me, that know me personally, that have been to my in-person trainings, you will know that I'm really not tech savvy. So up until 3 years ago, I still had my Nokia 3210, which was the big brick, not a smartphone. I didn't have a laptop. I was just using an old notebook, which didn't even have a camera on it, and a regular digital camera. So that's actually how I started running my online workshops and trainings, just with a Nokia 3210, an old notebook, and an old school digital camera, which not many people really use now. So now for my online trainings, I still only use my laptop and Zoom, or for the lives, obviously, my laptop and Facebook Live, or my smartphone, which is a very old school iPhone, for my Instagram lives that I just started doing for my IGTV. So I don't actually use anything fancy at all. But that's not to say that you can't or you don't want to, but I would say that you don't necessarily need to. For me, I've always believed that the quality of the teaching is far more important than the quality of the resources that you have. So this goes for everything. Whether you're a classroom teacher, I would always say that the quality of your teaching, your classroom teaching, is far more important than the quality of the resources or the technology that you have in your classrooms. Yes, the resources and the technology can enhance your classes, but honestly, the quality of your teaching, the way in which you connect with your students, the way in which you create community in your classrooms, whether that's online or in person, is far more important, in my opinion, than the resources and the technology that you use. But that is just my opinion. So, in saying that, I do have 3 options to offer you for this question. So firstly, you could, if you decide that you do want to buy a camera, maybe that is something that you're super interested in, that you want to get really involved in the technological side of things. That's definitely not my passion. But of course, there are some of you out there that are really, really interested in the technology side of things, and you do want to enhance your classes, the quality of the videos, the quality of the sound. In which case, I would really recommend checking out Amazon, of course. don't just take one person's recommendation. I would say with pretty much everything, don't just take one person's recommendation. So if you go onto Amazon and you look up camera equipment for video, obviously for videos, camera equipment for online trainings, or Google is your friend, and camera equipment for yoga teachers. Yeah, if you Google that, you're going to get an abundance of websites that are going to have different recommendations, reviews, testimonials, and just take even 10 or 15 minutes to scan through that, see what people are using, see what they're recommending, see what their tips are, and go with whatever is, well, obviously within your price range, but also what you feel called to do. So it depends what you're really using the camera for. For those of us who are maybe teaching teens and we're actually more focusing on the breathing and the meditation side, and we're not really moving. We just kind of need this interaction where it is just, our heads, and we just need to be able to communicate. They need to be able to hear us. For those of you that are working with younger children, and there's a lot of movement and the camera really needs to keep up with you, then perhaps you need a different type of camera to one where you're just sat talking into the camera. So my first recommendation would be, if you're going to buy the camera, check out lots of different reviews and recommendations before you invest in it. Secondly, if you are going to invest in all of this camera equipment, maybe a microphone, you probably want to be doing this as an online course for longer than just the quarantine period. If you're going to invest your money and your time in this, then perhaps this is for those of you that want to really transition into online classes for your kids' yoga, not just for the next 8 weeks, but for the rest, for the long term, for the rest of your business. And perhaps consider, if you are going to invest financially in all of this equipment, perhaps consider increasing your prices as well. So if you're increasing the quality, then perhaps increase the pricing as well of your classes. So that's the first option. The second option is just investing in a microphone. So it's it's much more inexpensive to buy a microphone, again, from Amazon. Do some, have 5-10 minutes of research and read some reviews. But you can just get the microphone. That way you can set your camera up, set your laptop or your camera away from you. So if you're still using Zoom, which is free, on your laptop, which you already have, you can set your laptop up across the other side of your room or your studio. And then you just have your mic hooked to you, or you have your mic, you can get the really small mics now, and you can have it hooked onto your yoga mat. That way, whether you're standing up, moving around, sitting down, lying down, the microphone's going to pick up, give the quality of the sound, but you're not investing in a brand new laptop or camera or a webcam, and you're just setting up the camera on the other side of the room. So that is still investing in a little piece of equipment, but it's a lot less inexpensive. It means that you can run your classes and move in any way that you want, and the quality of the sound and the picture and the image is still there. And then the third one, so for those of you who are not really tech savvy, you maybe don't have the budget for a camera or a microphone right now, maybe you don't have the interest in teaching yourself how to use a microphone and a camera, that's certainly where I would be, is to get creative with your kids' yoga plans and sequences. So by that, you could set up your camera in one place, so set up your laptop in one place, and then you make sure that the entire sequence that you do with your kids, you're in this frame. So it would probably mean that you would need to do all of your classes, all of your sequence, not all of your classes, but all of your sequence, all of your plan within that 45 or 60 minutes, you would do seated, lying down, kneeling, so you can still move around, you can still be dynamic, but you're not standing and sitting and moving the laptop and moving your mat all of the time, because honestly, if you start messing about with moving the mat and moving the camera and moving the table and the laptop, you're going to lose the children's interest. You're going to break the flow. You're going to break the actual connection and relationships that you have with them. So the other suggestion then is to just make sure that you're in the frame the whole time without having to move the camera or the laptop. So it just means getting creative with your class, get creative with your sequence. And you might be thinking, well, how am I supposed to do a whole kids yoga class if I'm just seated? And it depends on the age group of your class, it depends what you're teaching, but it doesn't have to be seated as such. I could move within this frame. I could be kneeling, I could be lunging, I could move my arms in different ways, I could be lying down, I could be squatting. So you can still do many different dynamic movements. I could be storytelling, leading you through a meditation, leading you through some breathing techniques. So you can definitely lead an entire interactive, engaging children's yoga class or a yoga class for teens without having to stand and sit and run around and jump around the whole class. We are all trying to figure this out, especially for those of you that haven't done online classes before. You know, it's completely new, and it does mean that you have to change things a little bit. So changing your sequence, changing the way in which you speak, the way in which you connect with them, changing the way in which you engage them, changing your behavior management strategies. So there is a lot of change. But it's just an opportunity for you as a kids yoga teacher to get creative with the way in which you do interact, the way in which you present the poses and the meditations, the way in which you lead the breathing techniques, the way in which you use props without the children having that tactile information. So it's just an opportunity for you to get creative. And I can do a whole workshop, to be honest, on that, and that is something that I'll look at and talk about later in the week and maybe over the next few weeks as well. But thank you so much, Delphine, for that question. So to summarize, I would say you've got three options. You can buy your new camera, in which case do some serious research if you're going to invest in it. Don't just take one person's recommendation. That person might be using the camera for a different reason to what you would like to use it for. Secondly, buy a microphone. It's much more affordable. It's a little bit easier to use if you're not tech savvy and you don't want to teach yourself. Or thirdly, get creative with your sequences, and rather than moving up and down, running around, moving around dynamically, think about ways in which you can lead an engaging, interactive kids yoga class with you just seated, lying down, and in this one frame, so that you're not having to worry about the technology side of things. So keep your questions coming in. I have in the link, you'll see I do have a few videos already available about growing your kids yoga classes and business online and in person, and I intend to be adding to that quite rapidly over the next couple of weeks. So if you have a specific question, whether it's you're wanting some information about taking your kids classes online or growing your business online or even starting it online, you're not sure where to start, or if you're looking forward to the next school term and you're wondering how you can make up for lost time or money, how you can get into more schools, how you can start collaborations with studios, then post your question below this video or send me a DM with your question and I will answer it over the next few weeks in my upcoming videos. All right, well, have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you on my next lives over the next few weeks. Bye.